Welcome to Navajo County Connection. I'm Steve Williams, Navajo County District 4 Supervisor. We're coming off of a great month in the month of July in Navajo County, where we've had 4th of July celebrations, Pioneer Day and Snowflake Taylor, lots of rain this year, and now in August we're heading back to school. And so fittingly, we have our Navajo County School Superintendent, Jalyn with us. Welcome, Jalyn.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you here. So the position of County School Superintendent, your position is actually created by the Arizona Constitution, correct?
Correct.
Would you talk a little bit about your background and what brought you to this position at this time?
My background quickly is I've had 30 years of experience in education, anywhere from preschool through high school. I've worked with post-secondary students with NAU, and was appointed in December 1st, 2015, and then I was elected following up. And so this December will be 2 years that I've been in this position. It's gone by very quickly.
Well, it's been a pleasure for me to work with you in the time that you've been in that position. A lot of times I get asked, what does a county school superintendent do? So what is your role? How many staff do you have?
Well, it depends on what role you talk about with the staff, but I'm going to start with state statute. There's some statutory obligations that we have. One of those obligations is the fiscal piece of overseeing school budgets, and that's part of the county office. We have currently 4 folks in there who handle payroll, oversee grants, assist districts in setting tax rates. That's coming up real quickly. And then as a county school superintendent, we have the authority to form what's called an education service agency. And in that role, we're able to supply additional services to districts. And so one of those is professional development. We help support districts in any kind of their needs. And one of the needs that we have right now is with a special services consortium that has been formed. So we assist districts with their needs of speech therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and we contract with districts for those services. Another area is we have formed a alternative high school called Navajo County Instruction for Success, and we are currently in a collaborative agreement with probation, and we will be starting school next week.
That's with juvenile probation in the county?
Correct. And we are on an exciting adventure. When I have spoken with the director of AOC, we're one of the first places to try something of this nature. So bringing in students who normally would have to go to Florence potentially or be released, and now providing them an education. And we're looking at the Kids at Hope program, which is all about kids of promise, looking at kids from a different lens and giving them the structure they need and letting them gain credit and be able to give them the skills that they need, the self-help skills that they don't have, and looking at high school from a totally different lens. So we're ready to launch that new adventure, and we can do that because under my authority we can have an accommodation district, and under that district we can have a school to meet various needs within the county, and we're absolutely fitting that need. We have a new venture that we're going to be starting on, and that is of assisting districts in forming a technology consortium. And so we're looking at bringing a vehicle to which we can help facilitate getting better broadband to districts. For Show District, for example, they pay an exorbitant fee for their broadband services. Now what can we do to help that be better service at a cheaper rate? And that's coordinating now with the library districts and Navajo County IT department. And that really is the vision of the IT director, Ken DeWitt. And so we're here to help support a lot of different projects and initiatives to help better everyone within that and within the county.
What I hear you saying is partnerships, working together with local school districts. So that leads me to a question that I get asked from time to time is, what is your role, or how do you interact with a local school superintendent and their governing board, with the Snowflake School District and their governing board? Do they report to you in any way, or are you their boss, or how do you interact with them?
I'm definitely not their boss. We work in a support for the district superintendent. They will come to me with questions. I'll research some of those and give them guidance, but I'm definitely not their boss. In the role of the governing board, if there's a vacancy by statute, I have the ability to appoint and have a process in place for appointing governing board members. Other than that, it's local control, and I will always refer back to local control. A citizen calls me and has, a concern, I'll ask, so have you gone to the school board meeting? Have you talked to the district superintendent? Have you gone through those channels? And deferring back to those pieces, because I'm not the boss. And to the extent of looking at individual board members and appointing if there's a vacancy that should occur.
So that goes back to one of the things that you'd mentioned before was setting tax rates and things like that. Is that something you do in your role, or is that something a local governing board, a local school district, they decide what the tax rate will be for that school district?
Well, it's a real complicated process. I'm just going to leave it right there. And of course, this year they changed the rules. Why not? It is done in coordination with them. They have a budget that they want to meet, and so we have the assessed valuation, so we get that information from the assessor, and knowing how much levy they need to raise to meet that budget. Well, there's limitations on how much they can raise, and there's guidance and rules actually on how much they can adjust those taxes. So the district will get forms from the Department of Revenue, and they start with the budgeting process. And that usually starts the end of June. And then very rapidly, they've got to have that adopted and on board by July 15th. And then we get those adopted budgets, and then we start working and verifying their numbers and looking at the tax rates. So we look at the primary tax rate first, and then we look at those districts that have secondary tax rates, those that have bonds or overrides. So, and then coordinating. We're on the phone talking to business managers all the time, looking at, okay, this is what we're seeing. We're not sure where we got these numbers. Tell us what you're doing, and making that. But the board initially had to adopt that budget, and on that adopted budget is the proposed tax rate. So the board definitely is aware of what's going on.
And that goes back to the local control you talked
Absolutely.
about in Show Low or in the Blue Ridge School District. The board and the superintendent there have local control.
Correct.
In your role, you act in a supporting capacity.
Correct.
Where can I help you?
Okay. And we help verify. It's part of that system of checks and balances, because whenever we're talking about public dollars, we want to there's accountability rules, and the USFR, we'll just call it You Suffer, and it's the books.
An acronym.
It's an acronym, and it's very thick and it's very complicated. And what people know of running their business or their own personal finance, those rules do not apply to schools, and schools have a different way of running finances, and they have to understand that up front. But those are public dollars. So if a public citizen has if they have a question or concern, that's public knowledge. So they should be asking questions and keep asking questions until they're satisfied with those answers, because that's accountability measures, and we're just part of that checks and balance system.
How many school districts or schools are in Navajo County? Do you know that answer?
I do. There's 13 districts. 2 of those are JTED districts, which are joint technical education districts, and
that would be like NAVIT.
That's like NAVIT, and in the north it's called Native, and they help provide the career and technical education aspect. Each of those districts have a member of their governing board from each of the member districts, and if I could be, I believe NAVIT has an 11-member school board, and they're across counties. That's including Navajo County, Apache County, and Gila County. So that's a real challenging role for that superintendent, but they both do terrific jobs. School-wise, we're about 35 schools within those districts. Numbers change, districts reconfigure, and they do that all the time, and that's their prerogative. Again, I don't have anything to do with that.
So in the Williams household, we've just experienced, like much of the county, back to school, and in our home we have 4 kids back in school, ranging from 1st grade to 10th grade. It's been an exciting time. There can be a transition as you come back. What would you say to viewers in this transition back to school? Any advice you'd give?
You bet. Establish routines that work for your family, and that's going to look differently for every family. You know what you have to accomplish in your day. You know your time constraints. I don't know those time constraints. But pick a routine, and don't expect that routine to work perfectly the first go-round. Be flexible in knowing that you might have to change that up. I always recommend families to have some time for unstructured, unscheduled time. You have to have a breather. Young kids and even older kids have got to have a chance to move. They've been sitting all day. They need a chance to move and be active. And I'm a big advocate on unstructured play. Brain research backs up that we have. Kids can learn creativity. They learn how to problem solve when they have a chance to figure it out themselves. So I always say, get your routines down, stick to them, try to stick to them. Don't abandon them on the weekends totally, because then you're shifting too much. Kids need structure and they'll adapt really quickly, but make it work for your family.
If my 9-year-old would hear, the one thing he would have gotten out of your answer is playtime. I heard you say playtime.
That's right.
So he would have gotten that out
That's
of it.
That's right.
Good. What else? Anything else that you think our viewers ought to know?
Well, just that with my office, there's a lot of autonomy and a lot of, there's statutory obligations, but each county school superintendent in each county will look a little bit different. And we try to meet the needs of what our county needs. And in partnerships and in collaborations, that's critical. And so you're off and off and off. And we have a big county, and we have districts from Keene to White River. And I try to get everywhere that I can, but as one person, it makes it a challenge. But hey, I'm up for it. I enjoy my job. I'm open for the public to contact me. Go to the website that's on Navajo County webpage and contact me if they want to. I'll try to get back to people within 24 to 48 hours as quickly as I can. And that's it is this exciting gig as far as I'm concerned.
That's great. I do want to compliment you and your staff and team on one thing. With some of the budget issues we've had, and you touched on this a little bit, but there was you've talked about looking for ways and partnering in order to keep kids from going to detention out of county,
Right.
and keeping them in school here locally
Right.
in your school. And there's been a great discussion and some outside the box thinking and looking to do things better than they've been done in the past. And so I just want to compliment your team on those efforts. So
It is a team,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
it is.
Thank you so much.
Well, we appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you.
Stay with us, and we'll be back in just a moment with our Public Works Director and Interim County Manager. Welcome back to Navajo County Connection. I'm now joined with Glenn Kephart, our County Public Works Director and Interim County Manager. Glenn, thanks for being with me today.
Good morning, Steve. It's my pleasure. I look forward to our discussion.
So Glenn, this is your first time on Navajo County Connection. Let's give you a chance to talk a little bit about your background and how you came to be with Navajo County.
Oh, well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. I grew up in central Pennsylvania, rural community, in which I learned to be a carpenter. And then later I went to Penn State University, got a civil engineering degree, and I worked for the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for 14 years. I was also, prior to that, a small contractor for a period of time. My wife and I had 2 children, and just as they were getting into their teenage years, we decided to move to Tempe, Arizona for an opportunity to join their team. And I became Public Works Director for Tempe, Arizona. I was there for 11 years. At the time, it was an exciting move, and we were really looking forward to the opportunity. But I'll tell you, looking back on it, we were somewhat naive as how difficult it would be to move 2 teenage children who were deeply rooted in their community across the country. But I am happy to tell you that it worked out wonderfully. I'm now blessed with 3 beautiful grandchildren that live in Arizona, and my wife and I just celebrated our 40th anniversary last year.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. And in addition to My time at Coral Gables, I also worked as Public Works Director for, Tempe. I also worked as Public Works Director for Coral Gables, Florida for 4 years. And my next step was to move back to Arizona to be closer to my family and my grandkids, and that led me to Navajo County, and I'm pleased to say I'm a resident of Show Low and loving it here.
Well, we're pleased that you're here. You've been a tremendous addition to the team.
Thank you.
So at the moment, you're wearing 2 hats, Public Works Director and also interim county manager. Let's talk about Public Works first. What's going on in the Public Works Department that's worth talking about, and what do we need to know about that department?
Okay, thank you. Public Works is a department that is really hands-on serving our community. We are the people who are out in the field interacting directly with the community, trying to solve their problems and do things that can help improve people's quality of life. That includes maintaining of the streets, making sure our drainage systems work, and addressing flood issues in the flood control district. It means helping people get a permit if they want to build a new house or an addition to their house or a garage, and helping facilitate them through that process in a way that works well for them and the community. We provide the engineering services for the community and code enforcement. We partner closely with the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Clark and his staff, and County Attorney Carlin and his staff on a daily basis to try to find ways to serve our community. Currently in Public Works, we're in a busy season. As we all know, we've experienced a lot of rain. I think almost double the rain this year as we had last year. That's good. Our forests need that, but sometimes it creates challenges. It's pretty common to get a call late at night that some road is flooding. And our Public Works staff, or the people and the crews, are the men and women who respond to that. They go out that night and they secure the site, and they'll put up signs along with the Sheriff's Office to make sure the public is safe. And then first thing the next morning, 6 a.m., they're out there cleaning up and trying to restore the road back to something that's safe and passable. So, and in addition to that, so we get a lot of calls off our normal work. Our normal work is maintaining the roads and grading them, beginning our chip seal projects and drainage projects and replacing culverts and all of that. So we're very busy right now.
And with Public Works, you go from White River up to Kayenta and everywhere in between.
We do. Every community that, and we get to know the county very well. I put in a lot of windshield time, and it's great windshield time. Sometimes I'm amazed. I'll be driving through the wondrous beauties that this county has to offer and think, I actually get paid to do this job. It's like, I would take this drive for free.
Well, the truth is the way that you've, not just you, but your entire team, the way that you approach, I think it's clear from those that I interact with in the community. I hear so many positive comments, feedbacks of appreciating working with your department and your team, and so thank you for what you do. Now, when you say maintaining roads, you don't maintain all roads in Navajo County, just county roads, correct?
That is correct. There are county roads, there are local jurisdiction roads that maybe the city of Show Low or town of Snowflake and Taylor maintain, and then there are the state roads, and including the Interstate 40 through our community. But as an example, the project in Show Low right now at the intersection of US 60 and 77, that's an Arizona Department of Transportation project. But those projects happen in large part because of the partnerships that we have with the community and making sure that the state knows what our needs are. We're fortunate this last year, our chairman, Jesse Thompson, was appointed to the State Transportation Board, and as Public Works, we staff him at that board, and it gives us a voice inside ADOT to really make sure they understand what our needs are and apply the appropriate amount of funding to take care of those needs for our county.
And that's a great benefit to have a voice at the table for a rural community county like ours, to have a voice at the table.
It is.
With Chairman Thompson representing us. Let's shift a little bit and let's talk about your role now as interim county manager. Jimmy Jane, that served as our county manager for almost 14 years, recently resigned and took a position with Coconino County. We're excited for him, although we're sad to see him go. And the board recently appointed you to act as interim county manager. What are some of the challenges and opportunities you see in this new capacity that you have?
Well, thank you. And first, let me say thank you to you and the other supervisors, Chairman Thompson, Supervisors Whiting, Whitesinger, and Lee Jack for having the confidence to entrust me with this responsibility. The opportunity here is that Jimmy Jane, our outgoing manager, left us in very good shape. Now, we have some economic challenges, and that's just a result of the economy and what's going on in Navajo County, but he left us with a very strong, dedicated team of people who are very supportive of each other and very focused on understand that their purpose is to serve the public. And they're doing that, in my opinion, very well through your leadership. And the other thing that Jimmy left us with that is somewhat unprecedented is the partnerships that we have in delivering that service. That's really our model. We deliver our service through partnerships. We have partnerships among ourselves, within staff. We have partnerships with the community and the residents we serve. We have partnerships with the leaders from those communities, whether it's a school district or a town or a city. We've established partnerships with the people. And we have regional partnerships. We have strong partnership and healthy partnerships with the state and the legislature and at the national level. And it's really unprecedented, the degree of partnerships that we have. The opportunity here is the Board of Supervisors and Jimmy, you've established those partnerships and they're strong and they're healthy. So as an interim, my role is to maintain them and keep them. That's a lot easier than creating them from scratch. So we will do that. And that gives us the opportunity to continue the good service that we're doing. I look at our county and say what we have now, I don't see anything that's broken. The role of the interim is to continue the good services. And as we look back a year from now, we will see that we've gone on a journey that helped us be a little better than we were, but it's not a major shift or a major change.
Well, that's great. I know that Glenn, we're coming off of just approving a county budget for fiscal year 17-18. We cut $2.5 million in expenses from last year's budget, in large part because of the challenges we see in the energy sector and some economic recovery. And I appreciate you talking on partnerships, because the truth is we can accomplish a whole lot more when we find common ground with people. That's and then right. Build on that for the good of the community. You had some projects you were involved with in Tempe in your role as Public Works Director there. Would you talk about some of those and maybe how that will impact you in this role as interim county manager?
Sure. I've really been fortunate over the years to be able to be part of some amazing and really significant public projects. And some of those, as an example, you say Tempe was the Phoenix East Valley Light Rail Project, and was responsible for Tempe's portion. That was about $360 million, their portion. And the Tempe Center for the Arts, if you've ever had a chance to see that facility, beautiful facility, and some public safety facilities. Most recently, a streetscape project at Coral Gables, Florida, that was a $25 million project. That was, the vision for that project was created through a collaborative effort with representatives throughout the community, representing the community at large. And what I've learned through all these years and through some of these amazing projects of what it takes for them to be successful is you start with a clear purpose of why is the project needed? What's it going to accomplish? And then what's the vision of what the end result looks like? And then you have to build partnerships with everybody who has a stake in that project. And those trusting partnerships, not just partnerships, but trusting partnerships. And we know that we're all trying to reach the same end goal. And when you do that, it's really a recipe for success. It's the foundation of a successful project. And if you think about that, isn't that the way we do business? Isn't that the model for the county of the way we provide our public service? It's the purpose, it's the vision, and the healthy, trusting partnerships that we've developed.
That's great. In Navajo County, we're proudly serving and continually improving, right? That's
We
what
are
we're striving to do.
proudly serving and continually improving. And
That's great. Well, Glenn, again, thank you for joining me today on Navajo County Connection, and look forward to working with you in this transition. And thank you to each of you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Navajo County Connection. Again, I'm Steve Williams, County Board of Supervisors, District 4. Have a good one.